Hi everyone, welcome to Glossop Wild Camping. So you join me tonight as I make my way from Old Glossop via Blackshore Farm and Glossop Low onto Bleaklow. And this is a new route for me, so this will be exciting to see where I end up. I've had a look on the map and I've seen a few potential rocky bits and decent sites, I'm hoping, on top of Bleaklow Head or around that area. So make my way there, and as usual I'll show you little bits along the way. This is interesting. Where's the guy in the ticket booth? You just about see Swineshaw Reservoir come into view over there, and I believe that the path is going to take us up and over to the right. Okay, so we've got a spanner in the works here. This I thought was a footpath because it goes to the farm, but then it winds up the hill. But it's saying it's private, so I'm a bit at a loss what to do really. I'm going to have to go back and see if there's another way up to the path higher up on the hill maybe. That's a bit of a shame. It's not the end of the world because I can always go from here back down to Old Glossop and then join there's a path that goes up past the quarry and onto, I can't remember the name of the bloody place now, but yeah, basically Cock Hill. That's the route I did on the last, well, I think it's about three camps ago. So I can always go back and do that way and I can still get to the same place. But it's really weird because when I've been on yellow slacks looking over towards the hill that's just above the farm there's a trig point there and I've seen people walking around, so there must be a way onto that hill somewhere. So I'll have to see if I can find another path down here on the left where that gate is probably. I'll see where that leads. I've got a horrible feeling I'm going to come to a dead end here, in which case it's going to be another, I don't know, 20 minutes of walking to get back to a place where I can get onto a proper path. Ooh, it's frustrating. These things are sent to tries, aren't they, eh? Well, it turned out to be a total dead end. The two other gates that were there were covered in barbed wire and were padlocked shut. So the farmer obviously doesn't want anyone going anywhere on his territory. Fair enough. But I've just wasted about 35 minutes of my life. So the funny thing is I've been walking not far off an hour now and I've still not even left Glossop, so making great progress, yes. Ho hum. Okay, so right in front of us there's Cock Hill, which I'm going to have to go up, and then once I'm over the summit of there I have to keep glancing at the map and hopefully I'm going to meet a path that will take me over towards Bleaklow. Just moving to the right there, we've got just over the wall there, that's yellow slacks, and then in the distance, I'll zoom in a little bit, again we've got shelf stones there, and just a bit lower down there's shelf benches. And move to the right. I'm not sure if there's any cars on it. No, there's no cars on at the moment, but the D57 Snake Pass basically is just right in the centre of the shot there. Just as we're walking up Cock Hill here, there's all sorts of structures or remains of structures from the quarrying days. I think when I get to the top I might do a drone flight around here. It'd be quite interesting to see it from the air. think this is the track that I intended to be coming up. I'm sure that this is the one that connects to Blackshore Farm and it brings us out here at the summit of Glossop Low. Getting deja vu now. So from here I'm hoping to pick up this path, but it's last time I was here, when I made my way to Shelf Stones, to higher Shelf Stones, I branched off to the right here. There's my hand, there it is. I branched off that way and went over the morass that is known as Harrop Moss and eventually ended up coming out at Dog Rock, just at the top of Yellow Slacks, and then basically going across the moor, Shelf Moor I think it was. So yeah, this will be a different route. I imagine it's going to take us, well, we'll see. When we get to the top of the hill here, I'll know where I'm going. That's the plan anyway. Okay, this is interesting. So in the distance right over there, you might be able to see the mast of Home Moss, and down in the valley, that's Torside Reservoir down there. So the trail, I can just about see what looks like a trail going up the hill, the moor in front of us there, and then I assume we're going to then turn right over the top towards Bleaklow. But it looks like I'm going to have to be going down before I go up, which isn't ideal. But I'll check the map again now and see if that's what the route does, and if that's what it does, well, that's what it does. I'll have to put a bit more graft in. Okay, so I've just joined what appears to be the main Pennine Way path, although where I am at the moment is quite indistinct, but you can see Torside Reservoir quite clearly there, down in the valley. And thankfully I don't need to go down this valley and up the other side, because the path apparently takes us along here. So I'm hoping the path becomes a bit more distinct, because walking in shorts in this spiky heather is not the best in the world. Anyway, let's see how we do. That's better, a nice clear path. To the left here, this is apparently Torside Clough. Hard to gauge how far it is from here to Bleaklow Head, but I imagine it's up on the tops there, right in front of us. Interesting to see where this path takes us. This path seems familiar to me. I think I might have walked this with my dad years ago, but coming the other way, because I do remember we made our way down to Torside and over Torside and headed towards, well, it's Greenfield actually. We ended up walking to Greenfield. I think we stayed the night at the youth hostel at Crowden. Well, this is the top of Torside Clough here. Don't think I'm not far from it now. Looking at the map, I'd estimate no more than about half an hour. So, looking nice down there, isn't it? The sun is trying to peep through here. It's plenty warm enough. But thankfully up on the tops there is a little bit of a breeze, which is keeping things in check. Sweating like a pig on the way up Cock Hill. But from there onwards, it's been quite pleasant conditions for walking, really. Anyway, onwards. Well, note to self, if I ever do this walk again, I don't need to bring all my water up with me. This is pretty good stuff. Doesn't look too brown either. You can see why they call this Bleaklow, can't you? What a no man's land this would be without this path. Probably about 10-15 minutes away from the summit now. Bleaklow Head conquered. So from here, well, there's plenty of pitch even just around here, but I want to make sure I can see over the Cheshire Plain there and see Manchester. I can see, I think, just about see Sheffield in that direction. I can see the Kinder Plateau over there. Now, when I was looking on the maps, I saw a feature called Hern Stones, so I'm thinking I might have a look at that again now and see how close I am to it. Perhaps head over there. If not, I'll just head that way where I'll start to be able to see the drop off of the moorland and be able to see the views unobstructed. So that is the plan. Okay, so we've arrived at Hern Stones. Not looking very good for pictures, unfortunately. Let's get up on top here and we can have a proper look around. There might do actually. Yeah, there are a few. There are a few, it's good. Okay. I have to get all the way up here though to be able to see any views of the lights, which isn't great. That's typically where I've just come from. Up Bleaklow Head, where the stake is up there on the cairn. It's slightly higher ground as you can see, and I wonder whether I might go back there. Don't know. I'll have a think about it and I'll get back to you. Well, I think the clincher here is I've got a signal on top of the rocks there, but here at the level where I'd be pitching, and it's not as good as I thought it was, to be honest with you. No, well, yeah, there's a bit of signal, but it's very intermittent. So I'm just going to go to some higher ground, back up where I came from. I just think there might be some better pictures up there. It's a shame because I really like these rocks, but yeah, I'm not so sure. Not so sure. There again, I don't know. I'm very indecisive, aren't I? I've not got too much light left either, so I need to make my mind up quick. Right, the weather is just about to start turning for the worst. I can feel the rain start, so I'm going to stay here. I've actually found a really nice pitch just here, so this is fine. All I need to do to get to see those lights is just get up on the rocks, and the signal's good up there as well, so I'm just going to go for it. Right, let's get set up. I'll see you in a minute. Well, that's not bad, is it? Not bad at all. Do you know what? I'm going to do a quick drone flight, I think. I've got it out here ready. So yeah, let's get this fired up. Well, it is just gone 5 to 9. I've just put my coffee on, only to realise that I've forgotten to bring some milk. Thankfully this coffee is a sachet one that's got sort of powdered milk in it, like a cappuccino style, so that's alright, but I've only brought one of them. I've brought 2 tea bags, and I can't drink breakfast tea without milk. So that'll be interesting tomorrow morning. So it looks like I'll just have water. I do have a tomato soup, a powdered tomato soup with me, so that's something. But anyway, that's the bad news. But the good news is I've got a Mackie special homemade chili con carne with extra hot sauce on top there. It could be very nice. Some spicy Mexican style rice with extra sort of kidney beans in it and sweet corn. Just an Aldi special. But can I speak? I want to speak slowly. It's an Aldi special, but it's nice. And then usual suspects. Walker's baked. It's getting boring now, isn't it? Sorry for being so predictable. Oh yeah, and I brought a bit of chewing gum as well, which I'll use as teeth cleaner, so yeah, all good. So the claggers rolled in out there, and the weather forecast did say that this would be the case, and there might be intermittent showers throughout the night as well. Tomorrow, early morning, more of the same, and then as the morning progresses, it is supposed to brighten up, and there has to be some sunny spells and some clearer skies, so let's hope that's the case. Oh, I'm really thirsty. I only had a sip of water once really on the way up here, so I'm pretty thirsty now. Does need milk, but it's yeah, livable with that. Livable with. Oh, I'm glad I brought that. I really am. Temperature. Where are we up to? Let's have a look. On the way up, the temperature was probably about 20, 21. Out of the wind, it certainly felt like that anyway. Now that I've actually pitched up and the clag's rolling in and the night's drawing in now, it's 12 degrees. So I have brought my summer sleeping bag, and I have brought, well, I've got this on. This and t-shirt is for now is quite comfortable, but I've also brought a down jacket as well, so shouldn't have any problems keeping warm tonight. I'm hoping that this clag isn't going to be here all night, because I really wanted to see the lights of Manchester, so whether we will be rewarded remains to be seen. Right, I'm going to have some tea and I'll check in with you guys later. Well, this is atmospheric, isn't it, eh? Chili con carne sat on Hern Stones in the middle of a clagged out Bleaklow. And what are you doing tonight? I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, I tell you. And the great thing is, I've come out on a Thursday night, so it's yeah, it's pretty much all mine tonight. I think I saw 3 people on the way up, and that's about it. Superb, as always. Can't go wrong with chili. So easy to make as well. Well, someone asked in the comments a couple of videos back, they're asking me about my faith, because I do allude to it sometimes. One of the main reasons I come out here really is because of the connection I feel to the Lord, so it's a no-brainer for me to come out here, not only for the spiritual side of it, but you know, to get a bit of exercise, get away from society, get away from the humdrum. And I do connect with the Lord out here, especially just with the quiet and just the beauty, and the fact the fact that I know the artist that created all this is just off the scale in terms of joy. It really is. In terms of how I became a Christian, it's kind of amazing really that I did become a Christian, because I should have been put off from the experience I had when I was a kid. My family were in a cult called the Exclusive Brethren. And it's one of these cults where, like any other cult really, where they very much control you. You know, if you're part of it, you're controlled. And they use tactics of fear and shame to keep people in line. They're basically a Christian sect, so they say that they believe the Bible, but there were certain parts of the Bible that they would take out of context and use as rules, and there was a lot of man-made rules in it. Thankfully, to cut a long story short, my dad had the what's the word? He had the nous really to actually study the scriptures himself and find out this cult is not biblical. It's not doing things the way that Jesus taught. Certainly not in terms of the way it treats people that are not only in the sect, but if you've got members of the family that aren't in the sect with you, they're basically anathema. They are seen as hellbound, and only the brethren are the ones that are enlightened enough to actually get to heaven. Same as, it's just a typical cult, it really is. Anyway, thankfully my dad read the Bible for himself, and he just saw so much wrong, and when he tried to flag it up, they basically tried to get him to shut up. And they do something literally called shut up, where they shut you off and say, right, you are not, I don't know if you're allowed to even leave the house. I'm not sure what extent it goes to, but basically you're cut off from all fellowship. You're not allowed to go to any of the meetings that they have. I think they have meetings probably most days of the week, and you're just basically shunned for a period of time until you've learned your lesson. So yeah, I'm trying to cut a long story short here, but anyway, that was that. But thankfully my dad came out and brought my mum out with him, and I was a baby at the time. So because we came out of it, of course we were then cut off by the rest of the family members that were still in it. But it was a small price to pay, really. Anyway, that was my first experience of so-called Christianity. And it wasn't Christianity. True Christianity is biblical. It's where people actually do what Jesus taught. And he didn't teach us to become hermits and close ourselves off from the world and inflict rules and rule by fear and intimidation and shame. He came to set the captives free. That's what he came to do. And to deal with the problem of sin, which is what, basically, if we're not what's called born again, if we don't know Jesus as our Saviour and follow his teachings and live our lives for him and not for ourselves anymore, if we're not in that place, we're separated from God automatically, because basically sin is where you transgress the commandments of God. Everyone knows the 10 commandments, and everyone can say, well, I've broken at least one of them. At least one of them. All of us have. But the whole point of that is that God is what's called holy. So as a holy God, he's basically cannot be touched by anything that is tainted by sin. You basically, if you try to stand before the Lord in his presence with sin in your life, you would be vaporized, I imagine, straight away. A bit like having a high voltage cable. You know, if you touch it, you're dead. Not because electricity is evil, but because that's the price to pay. There's a law in place. High voltage kills you. High current, in particular, kills you. Same with God. You try approaching a holy God in a sinful state, death. That's it. So, anyway, fast forwarding a few years go by. I think I'm a Christian. My mum and dad tried to teach me the Bible and teach me basically the ways of the gospel and the ways of Jesus Christ. And I followed them best as I could. But I think really for me it only really clicked in my, I guess it was my late 30s. And what happened was, I was there's a difference, right? Let me explain this. There's a difference between being religious and being an actual Christian. So a religious person is someone who basically they kind of go out they go through the motions. They've got the outward appearance, you know, of believing in Jesus. They profess to be a Christian. They profess to be a follower of Christ. But in their secret lives, they're not really that bothered about living a life that's righteous and actually taking seriously the teachings of Jesus. They think because he died on the cross for our sins to restore that relationship with God, that it's almost can be like a license to sin. Whereas if you truly know Jesus and you're truly born again by his Spirit, and he gives you the power to change, he changes you. He changes your desires. And that's what happened with me. And it was really only in my sort of very late 30s, just thinking it was either late 30s or very early 40s. I'm a bit ashamed that I don't remember the date, because it was pretty spectacular, to be fair. But yeah, what happened with me is that it clicked from being just head knowledge to being heart knowledge. And I realised, you know, that although on the outward appearance, you'd think, okay, that guy's a fairly good guy, you know, he doesn't do much wrong really. Probably, you know, I didn't kind of go crazy, you know, with my sinful lifestyle, but there was secret sins that I harboured, you know, things like lust, things like coveting things, you know, wanting things that other people had, being jealous of other people because of the stuff they had, or because they had a nicer girlfriend than me, or they even had a girlfriend full stop, because I didn't have very many of them. But lots of different things, you know, that were going on inside, that I didn't always act out these things, but they were in my heart. And the problem is that Jesus says that if you, let's say, for instance, lust after a woman in your heart, you're effectively the same as doing it, even if you've not carried it out. So that meant that I was in serious trouble, because I was doing all these things secretly, thinking that, okay, well, at least I'm not acting on it, that's okay. But Jesus doesn't teach that. He needs you to be clean from the inside out, not from the outside in. So it's not a case of trying to do things right, trying to live like a right life. If you're changed from the inside out by Jesus Christ, by the work of his Spirit, that's the correct way around. Then things start to genuinely change. And I found that when it really clicked, I found that I really wanted to do the things that Jesus taught. And it wasn't me trying anymore. It was just like, yeah, you've done this for me. You went to the cross and died a horrendous death so that I could be made right with God. Wow. You know, how can I not want to live my life for you? So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. And that's really why I get up in the morning. It's because I know that I've got the Lord Jesus Christ not only looking after me, but leading me on this journey. It's a narrow path, the Bible calls it. It's a difficult way. All the time you've got Satan against you, you've got yourself against you. You know, you're still tempted by sins. You're still tempted to do things that perhaps before I would have done without thinking, but now I know I've got a choice. And when I sort of realise I'm being tempted, I actually cry out to God and say, Lord, help me not to do this. And he really does. Still fall sometimes, but it's getting less and less, praise his name. And that's something I can't manufacture. I have not, in my own strength, I cannot be a good person. No way. Absolutely no way. Anyway, I think where are we up to now? 10 minutes? That's probably enough. I'm going to enjoy the rest of this, and I'm looking forward to a good night's sleep. Oh, by the way, today is alcohol free, so it's going to be a completely different experience, this. But I'm enjoying it very much. Quite atmospheric with these rocks and then the clag around. You can't really see on camera, but I don't think the camera would capture it. But yeah, it's pretty eerie, but in a good way. Right, I'll see you just before I go to bed. pain. Okay, so we've woken up to rain and clag. It's been raining hard this morning and at various points throughout the night, and yeah, I feel quite well rested despite the rain, although my face probably doesn't reflect that. But anyway, good morning. So it was a bit of a rainy night, a bit of wind but not too bad, and I've got a window now. Let's have a look at the time, it's 25 to 9, just gone. So I've got a brief window now of just clag without rain, and I'm going to exploit it and get out of here, because it's just going to be like showers and just very unsettled weather for the day. So I'll get cracking and hopefully I'll be able to film some stuff. Right, that is where I was, and I cannot see anything remaining at all. So the rain is still persisting, although it's clearing a bit over there. Time to say goodbye to Hern Stones. It's been real, it's been good, and I'm going to go approximately that way, get back onto the map, and hopefully we're going to make a nice circular walk out of this back to Glossop. Well, there's Hern Stones, just made our way across the moss here, and now we've joined the main Pennine Way path, and we are going this way. If it stays as it is now, this will be bang on, but I know it won't. Still, it's nice to see some of the views beginning to open up a little bit. Well, we're just coming off the moorland now and we're making our way beside this clough, and the sun's out. How good is that? Enjoy the window whilst it's there. Just turn you around and show you what I'm seeing. Bleak but beautiful. Got a lovely moody view here of the Kinder Plateau. And you can see the Snake Pass. You might just be able to see the cars parked there on the lay-by, which is the highest point of the Snake Pass. And then you can see, pretty much in the centre of your screen, you can see Ashop Head there. And I think that there is Higher Shelf Stones. There's higher and lower shelf stones. I'm now making my way down what I believe is called Devil's Dyke. A totally new path to me. I've been wanting to do this for years. As you might be able to see the way that it winds down there to the gate, and the path continues on down into the valley there, where eventually it'll become the Doctor's Gate path. Making our way down to Glossop. I wonder how long it'll take from here. It's going to be a good hour, isn't it, at least? Probably an hour and a half. Anyway, looking nice, doesn't it? Quite a view, that. Quite a view. Oh, that colour is just to die for, isn't it? Hey, beautiful. Well, that's where we've just come from. Doctor's Gate. Apparently it's a Roman road. And we've now come out at the junction, which I'm very familiar with. This path here, as you can probably see, winds its way up the moor, and then that over there with the cliffs is of course shelf benches with yellow slacks on the other side there. So pretty much on the home straight now. It'll be no more than about, I don't know, 35 minutes maybe from here back to the centre of Glossop. Turned out into a nice day now. Very pleased. The weather's been very kind. A couple of sprinklings of rain on the way back there, but nothing major at all. So I'm very grateful. Well, there we go, back at the office. Believe it or not, I've got a day of work ahead of me now. Oh, tea with milk. What a luxury. Yep. Scrambled egg, anyone? 4, just about enough. I like a nice dose of protein when I've been on a long walk. Well, once again, absolutely superlative camp. The destination last night of Hern Stones, I was dead pleased with it in the end. It really delivered. The atmosphere was just unreal. There was rocks to mess around on, and the weather was really bad throughout the night, but it wasn't a problem to me. The tent held up great. The rain was coming down hard, and there was no sign of any water getting in, and there wasn't much condensation in the tent either because of the temperature. So all in all, very, very pleasing. So on that note, I'll bid you all a farewell, and I do hope you will comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. And don't have nightmares.